In psychology, it's well known that the cart of behavior often gets before the horse of attitude. Now, our attitudes are uncontrollable, unconscious reactions to all sorts of things. For instance, let's imagine Justin Bieber. You feel that? That's your attitude toward Justin Bieber. It's a cascade of associations and feelings just zipping along inside your neural net. Let's try a couple more. Blueberry cheesecake. See? Nice, huh? And, total nuclear apocalypse. So that thunderhead of brain activity is telling you how you feel about that thing that I just said. And you have to ask yourself, how did you form that attitude? For many things, your attitudes came from your actions, and that led to observations that led to explanations that then led to beliefs. It's sort of like saying, your actions tend to chisel away at the raw marble of your persona, carving into being the self you experience day to day. I mean, it doesn't feel that way, though. To conscious experience, it feels as if you were the one holding the chisel, motivated by existing thoughts and beliefs. It feels as though the person wearing your pants performed actions consistent with your established character. Yet there is plenty of research suggesting otherwise. The things you do often create the things you believe. As a professional, do you feel motivated, compelled to wear a suit? Or after donning a suit, do you conduct yourself in a professional manner? Do you vote Democratic because you champion social programs, or do you champion social programs because you vote Democratic? Well, the research suggests the latter in both cases. And as the great Kurt Vonnegut said, we are what we pretend to be, so we must be careful about what we pretend to be. Most psychologists would probably explain the Benjamin Franklin effect through the lens of cognitive dissonance, a giant theory made up of thousands of studies that have pinned down a menagerie of mental stumbling blocks, including the ones that I often talk about on the podcast, such as confirmation bias, hindsight bias, the backfire effect, the sunk cost fallacy, and so on. But as a general theory, it describes something you experience every day. Sometimes you can't find a logical, moral, or socially acceptable explanation for your actions. Sometimes your behavior runs counter to the expectations of your culture, your social group, your family, or even the person you believe yourself to be. In those moments, you ask, why did I do that? And if the answer damages your self-esteem, well, a justification is required. You feel as if a bag of sand has ruptured in your head, filling all the nooks and crannies of your brain, and you want relief. You see the proof in an MRI scan of someone presented with political opinions that conflict with their own. The brain scans of a person showing statements that oppose her political stance show the highest areas of the cortex, the portions responsible for providing rational thought, get less blood until another statement is presented that confirms her beliefs. Your brain literally begins to shut down when you feel your ideology is threatened. Try it yourself. Watch a pundit you hate for 15 minutes. Resist the urge to change the channel. Don't complain to the person next to you. Don't get online and rant. Try to let it go. You will find this is excruciatingly difficult. Cognitive dissonance. When you experience this arousal, it is as if two competing beliefs are struggling in a mental bar fight, knocking over chairs and smashing bottles over each other's heads. It feels awful, and the feeling persists until one belief knocks the other out cold. As Leon Festinger said, you make, quote, your view of the world fit with how you feel or what you've done. So, when you feel anxiety over your actions, you will seek to lower the anxiety by creating a fantasy world in which your anxiety can't exist, and then you come to believe the fantasy is reality, just as Benjamin Franklin's rival did. He couldn't possibly have lent a rare book to a guy he didn't like, so he must actually like him. Problem solved. So there are several competing theories, competing models to explain why the Benjamin Franklin effect is real, but there are plenty of experiments that reveal that it is true. In experiments in which people have to do a favor for a person who acts like a real asshole, the people who have to do the person a favor tend to rate that person more highly than another group that doesn't do that person a favor. And the other way around is also true. In a group of people who are basically nice, but you're forced to berate them, People tend to rate those people as being less likable than people who didn't have to berate them. So the research suggests you tend to like the people to whom you are kind and to dislike the people to whom you are rude. And that's an important thing to remember. From experiments like the Stanford Prison Experiment to Abu Ghraib to concentration camps and the attitudes of soldiers in wartime, mountains of evidence suggest that behaviors create attitudes when harming just as they do when helping. The Benjamin Franklin effect is the result of your concept of self coming under attack. Every person develops a persona, and that persona persists because inconsistencies in your personal narrative get rewritten, redacted, and misinterpreted. When the source of your own behavior becomes mysterious, you will confabulate a story that is consistent with your concept of who you believe yourself to be. Above all, when considering the Benjamin Franklin effect, remember the more harm you cause, the more hate you feel. And the more kindness you express, the more you come to love those you help.